Coming up on this episode of OutLook TV. Misconception 15th anniversary at Woody's in Toronto.
Montreal Pride drags superstars.
Gay game plans for 2023 in Guadalajara, Mexico. And much, much more. Hello and welcome to OutLook TV. I'm Rebecca Wyman.
And I'm Elliot Walker. We would like to thank the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and surrounding nations for the privilege to film this episode on their unceded traditional lands. Thank you.
OutLook TV is the queer news magazine show that brings you the stories that matter the most from coast to coast. We're going to kick it off in Toronto at Woody's.
For Misconception at the 15th anniversary.
Hello everyone, salut tout le monde. I'm here at Woody's on Church to celebrate Misconception's 15th anniversary Christmas show. Follow me.
I started doing drag professionally 23 years ago. I am an old girl now, as they call me, a seasoned queen, or iconic, they say. So the first time I ever performed at Woody's was Scarlet Fever's birthday show. And so she let me on her stage, and that was the first time I ever performed at Woody's, which would have been back in 2001, 22 years ago. And so I had come to Woody's, and I had approached Dean in 2007, and gave me a chance. And they said, sure, you can do it. We had kind of a trial run. We kind of set 4 shows, and it ended up being a huge hit. The Christmas show came along with my Sunday show, so I just started doing a whole bunch of Christmas numbers, obviously, at Christmas time here at Woody's. Then, over the years, it became more iconic, where everyone wanted to come see me do this one number, which was the 12 Drinks of Christmas. The story about the 12 Drinks of Christmas was, years ago, I saw Rusty Ryan from the Great Imposters perform this number. The 12 Drinks of Christmas is probably one of the hardest lip sync song that a queen could ever do, and I have mastered it. Opening number on Sunday was one of my favorite numbers. It was The Grinch That Stole Christmas. I sung it live. The dress and the boa were created by 2 incredible friends, Jeff Christensen and the wonderful Nikki King, who's also known as Nicolette Brown. Some of my favorite numbers that I like to perform for Christmas are Barbra Streisand's Jingle Bells, because it is always a crowd pleaser. I like to bring a bottle of poppers in to that number to spice things up and make it more of a comedy number. And another favorite number I love to do is I Want to Be a Rockette. Now, that's a song that touches my heart because it's about this girl that wanted to be on stage, and her mother knew that she was a star, but she never had a chance to be a rockette. And then at the end of the number, she became the rockette she always wanted to become. And 2 of my favorite iconic costumes in my Christmas show are my angel costume and my snowman costume. Those were created by my fabulous designer named Jose Luis in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. My relationship with my audience, they have become friends. I don't even call them my audience anymore. I don't call them my fans. I call them my friends. We had built such an incredible family here over the years at Woody's that people just came back every single Sunday. We were changing up the show. We were changing up costumes. It was so much fun. I call them my friends, not my fans. One of my favorite things about Woody's is obviously Dino Enrico, who has been the manager here since day one. So over the years, I just want to say thank you, Dean, for making Woody's the magical place it is. And in the summer, I'm launching my brand new show called Misconception is Tuned Out at the Pilgrim House in Provincetown, Massachusetts, darlings.
That was a very festive feast for your senses. Andre Tardif in Toronto for OutLook TV. Ta-da!
On October 11th, we lost Gary Penny, a lifetime activist for the LGBTQ+ community.
We celebrated his life at the Junction.
We're at the Junction nightclub in Vancouver's Davie Village for the celebration of life for LGBTQ+ activist, nightclub owner, and friend Gary Penny. We're going to meet some people today who are going to tell us a few stories about their experiences with Gary. Let's go meet them.
Gary and I were married for 35 years. Got married in 2005, but we're together since 1987. We were together for the demonstration, and then we moved to Victoria in '99 and opened Prism Lounge there. and sold that about 2007, and Gary had been retired ever since. Gary was involved with the WESA, the West End Softball Association, the Pride Society, Persons with AIDS Society, Men's Chorus.
I'm saddened that we're here for this, but really happy to celebrate the life of someone that was so important and so life-changing, and so he literally created a community that we now walk in and never even think about the work that was put into it. So Gary was a really good friend of mine, my employer. So in '86, Ron and I worked at Neighbors. We were the doormen, and I was running for Empress. They opened Neighbors Up. Was the first time our investiture was the first time that there was liquor served in BC on a Sunday. So he got free kegs of beer for us, opened the bar, let us do it there. He just was always supportive. In 1990, when I was Empress the second time, he was my Citizen of the Year, because no one had recognized that he was involved in starting Pride, starting all that kind of stuff. You know, Gary was kind of humble about what he did. He just did it because he believed in the community. He believed in the people that he had became his family. So it was an honor to know him and consider him one of my best friends.
I worked for Gary Penny as a bartender in his club. I was a performer in his club also. Gary and I were very good friends. We go way back, and the guy was a mentor. He was a friend. He was such a pillar in our community. We're going to miss him dearly, and that's all I'm going to say, because the rest is, like I said, top secret.
I do recall one with Gary and another a huge member of our community, Terry Wallace, cornering me, pinning me literally in a parking lot in behind Denman Station, telling me that it was time that there was a female president running Pride Society. And I was like, don't you think it should be the best person? But it was quite funny that we sat down there and discussed our community ad nauseum and at length. An incredible, incredible man.
Way over the rainbow, way up high.
Well, Gary was always a bit of an organizer, a bit of a subversive. You know, if there was anything going on in town, organizing gay pride parades, building floats, or organizing protests or whatever, Gary was somewhere involved there. From way back in the 80s when I first came to Canada.
He just made community, and I miss him dearly.
Or to have been born 40 years later.
Michael, I find, and a matter of fact, running a nightclub, knowing all the sports things that are going on, I wish, like most of us here, wish that when we were their age, the young person today, that they'll support. Like Little Sisters is something that, like, we never ever dreamed would ever happen. Yes. Or a book where you could go and read families that'll get in the parade and back up their child that is gay. I mean, we're gone a long way from St. Louis here. I mean, since Trudeau passed that little piece of legislation telling everybody, stay out of other people's bedrooms.
And we
became human beings, and and our kids today, and I call them our kids, and I'm proud of where our community is today, and there's not one of us that isn't.
We're going to take a little break now.
Stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Welcome back. You're watching Outlook TV.
And now we're headed to Montreal to watch a drag superstar show featuring some of Canada's top entertainers.
TV, it's me, Ollie, and we are back in Montreal Pride, and today we are looking at a montage of one of Montreal Pride's biggest show, Drag Superstar, that features drag artists from all RuPaul's Drag Race franchises from around the world. Let's check it out.
Now clear. Baby, can't you see about it? A guy like you should wear a woman. You're dangerous and downfall.
Well, that was a fabulous evening and one of the highlights of Montreal Pride this year. For OutLook TV, this is Ollie in Montreal.
We're headed back to Toronto to check out Sky Gilbert's birthday bash.
The founder of Buddies in Bad Times Theatre and sometimes a controversial figure. Ooh la la.
Hello, Canada and beyond. Today, we are celebrating Sky Gilbert's 70th birthday. Who is Sky Gilbert? He's an actor, director, playwright, author, professor emeritus, doctor, and co-founder of Buddies in Bad Times Theatre in Toronto.
You're challenging, stubborn, intimidating, outspoken, unapologetic.
And I just retired from my teaching job at Guelph, and I'm starting my new life as I don't know what it's like to be a retired 70-year-old professor who ran a theater. Yeah, emeritus, thank you. Who once ran a theater called Buddies. And so I'm just setting out to figure out what that's about. You know.
I've done, I think, 27 Sky productions in my 45-year career. So he says that I am his muse. I just won a Lifetime Achievement Award for Canadian Actors Equity, and he introduced me and he nominated me, and I did win it.
On opening night, I was in the wings ready to go on, and Sky was behind me, and he said, "Roach, you listen to me and you listen hard. 200 people, 200 jobs, $200,000, 5 weeks of grind and blood and sweat depend on you. And Roach, you're going out a youngster, but you've got to come back a star."
You are one of the co-founders of Buddies in Bad Times Theatre, but tell us about the hurdles you went through and all the people who supported you to get that space.
We had opposition from the city, from Rob Ford and from the religious right on city council, and they wanted to stop the theater, right? And there was this thing about us being a sex club and all of this. And then I had to go down and march on the Toronto Sun, get dressed up in drag. My character Jane, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, we received a huge amount of opposition. I just would love more than anything that it's continued to be an art space, but I'm particularly happy that it's a queer theater space still.
When I first defected from the world of comedy, I got to work making a place for myself in the land of theater Buddies, and experienced firsthand the withering condescension of the super serious Toronto theater people. I was largely dismissed based on where I came from, yet you did the impossible. You saw something in me that no one else was willing to. In return, you always seemed to want the impossible from me.
One of my favorite things was nurturing young artists and young artist creators. Rhubarb Festival, and a lot of them, the people like Jason Sherman, there are lots of people who started there. Sonia Mills, who started, now Sonny Mills, they started their careers there and went on to do theater everywhere. So that's, I think, very important and something I'm very happy that we did.
Long sandwiches made by temporary girls. Long sandwiches made by temporary girls. Temporary office workers, temporary girls.
And I'm doing a play called Inside at Theatre Aquarius in Hamilton with Sean McComb and Ryan Russell, and it's a gay play, so I'm very excited about that. Well, I'm actually got a second book about Shakespeare coming out, and a third book that I'm starting to write. I'm starting to do theater. I was doing theater all along, but I'll be able to devote myself to it more now because I'm not teaching. So who knows? The world is my oyster, let's hope. But I'm hoping to relax a little bit.
For OutLook TV, I'm Bruno, coming to you from Toronto.
It's time for us to take another break now.
I got nothing. See if we find it after the break.
Welcome back. You're watching OutLook TV.
And now we're off to Calgary to celebrate the 18th anniversary of Twisted Element. Yeehaw!
We are in Calgary, Alberta tonight at the 18th anniversary of the Twisted Element. It's an integral part of the Calgary queer community. Let's go inside and check out this amazing show.
Twisted Element's been a second home to me. I've been here since opening night. I performed pretty much since the very first year. RJ and Cliff were nice enough to give me a job for a good decade where, I was just, it's just not just a supplementary income, but also just a place to be, or, where I can look forward to every weekend and just, be a part of something.
And then they said, well, we'll build you a stage. They did. And I kept it packed down here for 3.5 years. I also did the shows upstairs for 2 years, and then I just handed it over to Terry. But yeah, I'm one of the original girls.
RJ and Cliff hired me. Well, RJ hired me. Cliff didn't even know I worked here. So the first day that they opened, I walked through the door with all of my bags, and Cliff looked at me and said, we don't open until 11. I just remember we were in such a hustle, a lot of things weren't done, and we were making the best of it. And I didn't have a drag room, so they threw me into some room with a whole bunch of shelves next to a boiler, and I felt almost like Freddy Krueger was gonna come. But you know what? It was one of the greatest experiences of my life, actually.
It's been a really, really great, almost 2 decades that I've enjoyed here. I haven't been out very much in the last few years. Things have changed now that I don't work here anymore. I don't really perform much. I don't even remember the last time I performed, but I thought, okay, come out of retirement for one night, just have some fun. But really, yeah, it just feels good to be back. As long as I could remember Christmas Eve, I was always here. Even if I had plans, I would always come for cocktails after, because what do? This is our second home, it's our second family. Sometimes actually it's our first family, right? So this will never end for me in terms of, a venue I can feel safe at.
Some legends came out tonight in Calgary for the 18th anniversary of Twisted Element. This is Patrick Massey for OutLook TV in Calgary, Alberta.
And now we're going international with Guadalajara, the host of the 2023 Gay Games.
In 1982, Dr. Tom Waddell started the Gay Games in San Francisco. Vancouver hosted the Gay Games in 1990, the first time the Games were held outside the United States.
In Guadalajara, the colors of sport and culture come to life with passion, music, and joy.
November 3rd of 2023, Guadalajara will be hosting the Gay Games, making it the first time the Games will be held in a Latin American country.
We knew that Hong Kong was really struggling with COVID and some issues with their government, and so the federation said, Guadalajara, do you want to organize the Games? And we say yes. So I make a short story that was, the the path we follow.
Gay Games Guadalajara will host a number of sports.
We are hosting until today 19 sports, but we are adding 2 because those associations are going to be responsible for organizing everything. Those 2 are dodgeball, that I know in Canada is becoming very, very popular, and figure skating, which is very popular in Canada. The 19 sports that we already are offering are everything from marathon, half marathon, 5K, 10K, all aquatics, from diving, water polo, that Canada also is very strong on that sport, powerlifting, bowling, golf, basketball, beach volleyball, volleyball, football 7, football 11. And actually in those 2, I just want to say that we are trying to convince 2 of the best professional teams in Mexico to join the Gay Games for the first time.
1,500 athletes from Canada are expected to participate in the Games.
Well, the Canadian participation we are expecting is around 1,500 athletes, which is huge. You know, the second, I would say, you are the second country with more participants to the Gay Games. And we are well connected. Vallarta is well connected, direct flights from many cities from Canada, so you can probably go first to Puerto Vallarta and then come to Guadalajara, which is just 4 hours driving or 30 minutes by flight. And so we are expecting 1,500. Outside sports, we will have a huge cultural agenda. So we're going to have the 40 years of fashion from Jalisco to the world. Then we're going to have art exhibits. Here where we are is going to be the Fan Fest, and every night we're going to offer you a show, an artistic and cultural event here for all the athletes, for all the participants. You're going to be in the most Mexican city in the world. All the things that you know from tequila, mariachi, and charreria, they are born here. So, of course, we're going to make a mix of our traditions with innovation for our cultural agenda. The opening ceremony, we are planning to host it at the Charros Stadium, which is the Pan American Stadium, now called Charros because there's a baseball team playing there. What we want to send as a message from Guadalajara to the world in terms of diversity, and that is going to be the core concept of the opening ceremony, is freedom. Birds are going to be part of that. Will be very colorful because you're in Mexico. And we're going to have a mix of show between drag queens, everyone around our community, and 2 different musical rhythms, which is pop and Latin rhythms. So it will appeal to everyone that will attend. And I don't want to say more, but we are hiring one of the best companies that produce the shows that was working with us in Pan American Games. So the governor and the government, they want to really give a very nice spectacular where it's included everyone. We need you, we need allies, because we want these Gay Games to be a celebration of our community for the first time in a Latin American city, in a Mexican way.
For OutLook TV, this is Mike Keeping in Guadalajara, Mexico.
That is all the time we have for this episode of OutLook TV, but we'll be back before you know it.
In the meantime, why don't you follow us on our socials and come volunteer with us?
We are living proof that it is fun to
It
volunteer.
is really fun, yes.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Rebecca Wyman.
And I'm Elliot Walker.
Stay safe, Canada.